Hey, everybody, we're back again for our continued look at the 2010s in film. And we're going to look at the overrated movies in our first look here today. And this is always a bloodbath to rip open some of these lofty films and let the air out of them and bring them down and trample on them and shit on them if we have to. Anyway, Brian's here, Doc's here. And Brian, you're going to take the first crack at these overrated films.
All right. All right. For number 5 for me, this one won Best Picture. And I thought it was just pretentious Hollywood bullshit. And that was The Artist. This black and white film, and it's Hollywood saying, look at me, look at the kind of shit that we're up to. Look at what we're going to do. And now we're going to give ourselves an award for it. It was awful. The story was awful. I didn't give a shit about anybody in that movie at all. I think I turned it off after the first 45 minutes. I can't do it. I just can't do it. There wasn't anything to attach myself to. So I didn't go anywhere with it. So good. I got The Artist there. I wanted to get that out of the way for sure. Number 4 was The Tree of Life.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen that?
Hated it.
Oh my God.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. I'm like, oh wow, it's got Sean Penn in it. It's got Brad Pitt. Well, how bad could it be? It's pretty goddamn bad, guys.
I hated every second of it.
It is just awful. I mean, it's just frame after frame about like the earth progressing like through evolution over time, and it's cutting back and forth between people and then the landscape and blah blah blah, and almost no dialogue whatsoever in the whole damn thing.
Yeah, it was brutal.
And they even say, oh, it's an experimental drama. Yeah, that experiment that's out the window. You got to trash that stuff because that's terrible. That's the worst money I've ever spent on a movie right there.
It's bad.
It's bad. Number 3 for me is The Expendables. I didn't get into any of those. Oh, this made me so angry. I'm like, some of these has-been action actors, the only thing that's worse than having one of those guys in a movie is to have all of those guys in a movie, right? And it's just, the stories are awful. It's like, let's just get a bunch of beefcake guys and throw them in an airplane and go complete missions, that nobody else is willing to do. No, this is a movie that nobody else in Hollywood was willing to do, but these guys.
That's it.
What happened? And it's terrible. And they went on to make how many? They're on like 4 now.
3, 4, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah. Oh. And it's like a big deal every time you get another has-been on your movie, right? Oh, we got Jean-Claude Van Damme now in the movie. Wow.
Oh, what?
Get him away from doing chip commercials. That's great. You got Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Big deal.
Number 2 is any of the sequels to the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Just after the first one, I didn't care about any of those damn movies. It was terrible. Oh, it wasn't even like after the first movie, wasn't even really the Hunger Games anymore. It became this other storyline that would really just be a rom-com disguised as some type of, teen adventure movie. That's what it kind of became to me. And I wasn't into it at all. The acting was poor in all of it. It's hard to attach yourself to any of the characters outside of Jennifer Lawrence's character, I guess. So that's about the only one that you would probably attach to. But number 1 for me, and it's because the book was so hyped and the movie was so hyped, and my daughter is going to kill me for this, but I've got The Fault in Our Stars.
Nice.
It's a teenage rom-com type of stuff where you got both teenagers are dying from a terminal disease. And it's like, they fall in love, but of course they're falling in love knowing that their time is pretty limited. One of them is going to kick the bucket sooner or later. I have feelings just as much as the next guy, but I got to tell you, this is just a bunch of crap, guys. The acting's terrible in it, and after a while, it's like, how sad do you want to feel for an individual all the time? At some point, I want to feel good about the characters, and they don't allow you that opportunity to do it.
Right.
My daughter's even been to the Netherlands and sat on that bench where evidently
my.
they, yeah, whatever. I was like, but I thought the movie was awful. I think it's probably the worst movie of the 2010s easily. I just
Wow.
couldn't get into it at all.
Interesting. All right.
All right, Brian.
I like some of your picks there. I'm going to have one of them. I'm actually changing on the fly. I'm kicking out something and adding one of yours in because you reminded me of how horrible it was. Doc, what do you got?
The Expendables just missed, buddy. I swear to God. Just missed. I just oh man. Yeah, I mean that was that close, pal. I'll just go with number 5. So number 5, I've got the Pacific Rim. So, I don't know what I can say about this movie, man. Guillermo del Toro, I think we gave him the praises where he deserved them here.
Yeah.
Pan's Labyrinth, kind of a masterpiece, man.
Mhm.
Hellboy, yeah, fun, whatever. That's fine. That's watchable, sure. Shape of Water. Hey, man,
Great.
that's something different. That's a big stab in the dark. Way to go. You're trying your stab at sci-fi, and this is what you're doing, man. You're mixing Godzilla with Transformers
Oh,
out in the middle of nowhere. Friggin', these 200-foot robots running around saving the world, and the base of the storyline is, man, do we have enough money to put into the military to keep this operation going? The world's getting destroyed, and you're asking about how much money you've got left to save the world, to make these robots to go fight these monsters. Give me a break. How those monsters stand in the water, I got no friggin' idea. 7 miles out there, and they're only like 300 feet tall, but they're like 7 miles out in the middle of the ocean having these fights with these creatures and shit. Stick to the friggin' fantasy shit. Get on with this. Is garbage, man. This is literally a mixed match of friggin' Godzilla and Transformers.
Yeah,
Up to date.
exactly.
That's
You got
all
it right.
I don't know what else. Crap. Overrated for sure. That made cash. Number 5. So number 4, I didn't have the whole set there, Brian. So I started off just with Hunger Games because I can't get around how overrated that really is, man. So if you go back and watch one of two things, watch a Japanese movie called Battle Royale, or something we all might have seen, and one of my favorites, one of my tongue-in-cheek kind of flicks, but I love it because it's so tongue-in-cheek, The Running Man. This is the movie. Yeah. Here you go. The Hunger Games is a kid's version of The Running Man. Let's put them all out there to kill each other live on TV and show it to the world. And it's, hey, that's something that Richard Bachman wrote, or we know him as Stephen King. So this is a complete ripoff. This is not original. This is completely overrated. I've seen it 3 times. So before I actually saw it once. So what's the point? Hunger Games is garbage, man. Jennifer Lawrence, she gets a lot of accolades for, I think, just okay kind of things, even throughout her career, I think, in one sense. So that may be a different story. You guys might have her on your actress list. I don't, but that's why. That's my opinion. But Hunger Games number 4, definitely overrated. Number 3. So I don't know how this is going to go. Okay, number 3 is The King's Speech. Now, The King's Speech is not awful. Colin Firth is very good in this movie. I'll say that. He's very good.
Yeah.
Kind of where it ends. It's this one like 4 or 5 Oscars. It was up for 10 or 12 Oscars. I mean, was there any other movies out this year? What the hell, man? Who's the guy who made this one? I don't know. Is it Toby Hooper or something like that directed this one?
Yeah.
That guy's accolades run to the Cats. That guy made Cats. What's that tell you, man? So I don't know. Do you really care about this character in The King's Speech? The King Henry VI here, if he doesn't take his speech lessons and learn how to address the nation during who's going to lead the British Empire? Well, if he doesn't do it, is he not going to lead the British Empire? What the hell, man? This is like one of the most boring stories that you could put on there for 2 hours to go pay money to go see, man. This is overrated. Yeah. Watch paint dry. That's better. Number 2 for me is The Irishman.
That's pretty good.
I like Martin Scorsese. This is my wheelhouse, man. These next 2 are going to be like right in my wheelhouse of kind of movies I really like. So,
yeah.
The Irishman is 3.5 hours, you know, and I swear to you, like 2 hours into watching that movie, I think I'm looking at De Niro wearing a plastic mask or something like that half the time too, man, because there's so many flashbacks. He looks like Plastic Man to me.
Yeah.
The flip flop in this movie and how Scorsese was doing it, it was just too generic for me for even him. You know, if you know what I mean, like, The Departed, I've seen, Casino, you name it, Scorsese making a criminal or crime movie. The Irishman is a bore.
It didn't work for me either.
Kind of a bore, man. I don't know. The acting's fine. Pacino's fine. De Niro's okay in it. Not one of his better performances, in my opinion. And he's in a lot of the movie. So,
yeah.
And Pesci came out of retirement for this. What's the big flop? Pesci is now the head dude, and De Niro's the hitman, and that's the big switch from your previous 5 movies that you've made under the show. It doesn't work, man. The Irishman got a lot of nominations for a lot of things. It was nominated for a whole bunch of stuff, and it didn't win. It didn't win for a reason, man. It's not that good, to be honest with you. It's an hour and a half too long, to be honest with you. Hour and a half shorter, and Hoffa died. Maybe I would have watched it and had a big smile at the end of it, but that's about it. So. But my number 1 overrated is American Hustle.
Wow.
This is just too much of American Hustle's not that good, man. Listen, I like the cast. I like everything else. Like I said, this is in my wheelhouse of my kind of movie that I'm going to like, or I should like a lot more than I do. And I don't. Talk about stealing from a whole bunch of different things. And there's thievery of a whole bunch of Scorsese's or any of these kind of things, the voiceovers and all these different things, and you're 3/4 of the way through the movie and you go, man, all this thing needs to be a Scorsese movie is for De Niro to show up. Well, guess what? 3/4 of the way through the movie, De Niro shows up. There he is. It's like, hey, let's throw him in one scene so he's here in this movie. It's like, the acting's fine, everything's fine. I find it to be a big ripoff. I find it to be definitely overhyped. And if you're attached to anybody in this movie watching this, about the backstabbing and the twists and the turns, this isn't The Departed, man. This isn't anything like this. This isn't, I can pick 1,000 movies with more twists and turns in there that are way better. So the American Hustle, overrated. That's all I can tell you, man.
You picked some good ones out. American Hustle is definitely overrated. I went and saw that in the movies. I wanted to like it. It just didn't hold together for me.
Yeah, I wanted to like it too.
Good performances, like you said, and great cast. I love all the 5 leads in that, but it just didn't work. I'm going to blame either the screenplay or the director because it should have worked. It was based on that true story. That undercover.
It is. You're right. It is based on a true story.
Yeah,
and I would blame the director. By the way, I would blame the director.
It's David O. Russell, who's the director of that movie.
Right.
How can you go wrong when you have what's his name, Christian Slater, Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lopez, Amy Adams, and Jeremy Renner, and De Niro thrown in for good measure, and somehow it didn't blend.
It just doesn't. It's a blah movie. It's like the pace.
It doesn't come together. So you have to blame the director on that. The other movie is The Irishman. That was flat. It's one of Scorsese's worst in my book. And the other one was The King's Speech, which I would give a moderate pass to. I didn't hate it, but it's certainly overrated for sure.
Yeah.
All right. I have 5 different ones. Well, I have one that I stole from Brian. Actually, 2 that I stole from Brian. One I had already. My number 5 is 50 Shades of Grey. I don't know how anybody can sit through this garbage. This is best-selling book. I actually watched it, figured I could get titillated a little bit on the screen. Nothing happens. It's all dick teasing 101. It's horrible.
It's soft porn. It's soft porn.
Soft. It's generally soft. It's really terrible. I don't see any point to it. You're better off reading the book. You can imagine things. What they show you is horrific. Number 4 is a movie that I thought I would like because it's got 3 phenomenal actors: Philip Seymour Hoffman, Joaquin Phoenix, and Amy Adams. The Master, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. This was a snooze fest.
Yep.
Religious cult. It's just an empty, dull, nothing kind of movie. Way overrated. It never engaged me. I didn't know what the frig was going on in this movie. I must have looked at the clock, my watch, like 16 times to figure out when it was going to be over. Did not like it one bit. And I love those actors. And the director's not a bad guy. He's made some films. Number 3, I had put Inception in here, but I'm kicking it out and replacing it with Tree of Life because Brian reminded me what a piece of schlock this is. I absolutely hated it. It's like going through he's cross-cutting like a nature show with like a family album, and it's just
it's like you turn on your hotel TV and that's the garbage that's playing on the TV. That's just like a whole lot of nothing.
Sean Penn playing, I guess, an abusive father to his sons, and you're supposed to make sense without any dialogue just by looking at him and what he's acting on with his kids on the front lawn as the tree grows and the branches fly. I mean, get away from me. Pretentious nonsense. Number 2 is one we've discussed off camera, and it made my list, and that's The Lighthouse. I detested this movie. The Lighthouse, starring Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. Boring, incoherent. They're these 2 lighthouse keepers in a remote island, and it's a descent into madness and loneliness and whatever. I couldn't make sense of it. It's just retarded. I didn't get it. An exercise in futility. I mean, what am I watching this for? What am I gaining out of this? Not much. Number 1, and I stand by this as being the most pretentious film in Hollywood history to win a Best Picture, and that's The Artist.
Yes.
Absolutely overhyped, a thin, nothing plot, the Hollywood silent era, and they gave this guy the Best Actor, Jean Desjardins.
Yeah.
Go play fucking hockey, man. You're not an actor. I'm sorry. I don't get it. With a name like Desjardins, it's gimmicky. You have a little dog running around that's supposed to mean something. The critics followed this like sheep. The Oscars, they promoted it. All the critics praised it. Oh, this is one of the best films we've ever seen. Hollywood, the golden era, this and that. No, I can't get behind it. I thought it was the most overrated film.
Gone are the days where critics are willing to talk shit about a movie. It's gone.
Yeah.
They won't do it anymore. And that's why stuff like that happens. Oh, I've got to write something good about this film. Yeah, I've got to say something good about it, or I'm going to look like a schmuck. Yeah. I'd rather just look like the schmuck.
Yeah. They're not afraid. They're afraid to take a stand and stand on their own merits. They want to be part of that crowd. They're like sheep. Well, this acclaimed critic loved it, so I have to like it. And I have to write something good about it, or I'm going to look like an ass. Look like the ass. You're better off.
Right. Exactly.
People will respect you more because you'll lead people to the theaters to see this nonsense.
Yeah, people are basing this on your choice, your reaction, your words are going to drive them to or from the theater for this stuff. I mean, I'll be honest with you, on The Artist, I tried watching it, man. I got through like maybe 10 or 15 minutes. I said, screw this, man. I'm
not watched the whole thing like a moron. I watched the whole thing like an idiot and said, why? I felt that way about The Lighthouse and Tree of Life. That's why they're on my list. And The Master even. The Master was a little bit better, but not much.
I felt that way about Chicago.
Just utter garbage, and they have critics that get behind it. I don't know whether they're paid, to jump on the bandwagon or not, but they're not doing us a service at all. They're doing a disservice. Anyway, that wraps up our overrated list. Every decade seems to have a bunch, and this was no exception. So for AYBL Maine, Brian, and Doc, I'm Rich. Give us your most overrated. If you like some of these movies, try and defend them in the comments. We'd like to hear it. Maybe we're off our rockers. Doubt it, but maybe. Anyway, give us some feedback. Tune in next time. We're going to be back with our sleepers, films that flew under the radar that we liked and we would recommend. So take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye.